The dictionary defines protocol as the customs and regulations dealing with diplomatic formality, precedence, and etiquette. That sounds very formal and rigid. Why should we care about protocol and etiquette? Isn't the world getting smaller and less formal? And how would you define protocol? Pamela?
Well, I think, protocol is really just the rules or structure that we put in place for our society to do business, to conduct business, both in the industry as well as in government. And it's not meant to be seriously formal. It's a structure that's in place to prevent chaos. So you can have a casual event, but if there's no structure and rules and those behaviors, then it can be chaotic. And people are confused what to do, how to do it. From the etiquette side, really I look at protocol as being the science and etiquette to be the art.
But let's say, for example, you have a person who is actually the honoree that evening, and maybe their status is not as high as some of the status of the guest. So I think that's where the etiquette comes in, and then you sort of have to balance the two.
Working in the entertainment, with the entertainment community, and the people that we deal with are used to being sort of the big dog in the room, no matter what room they're in. When we get into a situation where an actor or a producer, even if an event is taking place in Hollywood, the actor or the producer is not the big dog in the room because the President of the United States is in the room, or the Dalai Lama is in the room, or a member of the royal family of the Windsors is in the room. It can cause confusion, and the last thing that you want to do, you want to have in a room that's supposed to be a social event, and I deal very much with social events, not major international world affairs or big business, but usually these events are social or fundraising in nature. My experience is that if there are rules and if everybody understands what they are in advance, if we work properly with their representatives, their individual PR people, and explain this is how it's going to happen, this is why it's going to happen this way, this is why this producer can't be the big dog in the room today, then they know, they understand it in advance, and everybody can relax about it and know what position they have, what place they have, and it's just easier and more comfortable for everybody in the room so that they can enjoy themselves.
Sometimes when we are managing, what did you call it? I call it egos, but I forgot, Julie, what you call it. So personalities, that's right. When we're managing those personalities, one of the things that we have to remember is that we want to, we're there to serve them, not to be a servant. So we're there to serve them and not to be a servant.
And if you look at the definition of protocol from the Greek, proto, and then the call part, it's first in glue. So that sort of gives you the idea, it's the glue.
That holds everything together. What value does protocol and etiquette training add to those of us in this room to make us more valuable to our employers or potential employers?
Well, it's something that with the onset of technology today, we're doing business a lot behind a PC, our iPads, our Blackberries, our Crackberries, our Blueberries, all of that, and we're losing our people skills. So with protocol and etiquette, I think with those together, having these skill sets make you more competitive than your competitor.
Can handshakes, eye contact, body language, dining etiquette, can that make a difference in the type of leader that you are?
Well, I think that kind of personal diplomacy and personal leadership is something that really is not only an advantage to you on a personal level, but if you are interacting in public and at events like that, being able to make a flawless introduction, being happy to walk around the room to shake hands, you really exude a lot of confidence. And people watch you, and people notice that you're like one of these active people. So that to me is a type of leadership. It may not be leadership from your boss, but it's kind of personal leadership. I mean, many times leaders are in the middle of the pack, and they lead by stepping forward, and then the whole pack moves forward. So I do think that all of those things are just critical. And I tell you, I shake hands with people, and I still teach people how to shake hands correctly. The ways, and actually what's interesting is the way we actually teach it is the way that they always teach diplomats who had to be in a receiving line and had to shake like 500 or 600 hands. So the way is not just how to shake it, but how to do it and be able to do it like for hours.
Because no one likes that bone crusher. And no one's going to say, hey, that was a great bone crusher, thank you very much. We'll tell our friends, don't shake her hand.
What is an example of a recent or your favorite protocol blunder? Pamela, let's start with you.
So many. Well, I think the one that stands out in my mind is the, not to mention any names, but a couple that crashed the White House during a state visit. I think that, you know, and we're constantly rewarding bad behavior, so now she has her own little show with the wives in D.C. But the big thing that what happened was that it changed the message. The president was hosting and having a state dinner, and the focus was not on that relationship development and building and continuing that relationship. It was all about them. And so, you know, for me, that was a huge protocol blunder, especially for the media to keep going and going and going with it.
I was invited by the Chinese government to participate in a senior U.S. delegation to China. We went through and we thought we hit everything that we needed. We had our PR papers translated, we had our business cards translated, we had developed a plan for giving gifts, trying to get as much information as possible of the government officials that we've been meeting with, making sure that we were looking at if we give gifts in Beijing and in Shanghai, that those would be equal. And it came down to the last night, and she had some gifts that we were going to present at the Great Hall of the People. And the gifts were really wrapped beautifully in red and yellow, the colors of China, but everything had been wrapped, and it was the one little detail that I had not seen actually what was in there. I had a description of it. And no one at that point wanted to unwrap them. And I said, I'm just not comfortable taking everything on the plane, going there and presenting them at the Great Hall of the People without looking at them. I said, let's just look. So we unwrapped, and it was good because if you go back to that time, it was even more tense. On the bottom of the gift, it said made in Taiwan.